top story this hour, security is to be raised at Champions League games this evening after a media outlet supporting the Islamic State group published threats against the venues.
Both Arsenal and Manchester City are in action tonight. Well, let's speak with GBNews Home and Security Editor Mark White. Mark, how concerned should we be about this message, this call to action?
Well, I think any time that a terror group like Islamic State posts something like this, it always has to be treated seriously. They have the potential for, if not carrying out direct attacks, certainly inspiring others who might wish to do that. Remember, it was just last month that Islamic State claimed responsibility for that horrific terror attack in Moscow at that theatre and that shopping centre that claimed around 140 lives. So, of course, over the next couple of days, there are some very high-profile football games in these quarter-final matches in the Champions League. That game in London between Arsenal and Bayern Munich, and, of course, at the same time across in the Spanish capital, Manchester City fans are gathering for that clash with Real Madrid. And again, tomorrow in the Spanish capital, Atletico Madrid will take on Borussia Dortmund, and then Paris Saint-Germain also playing across in France as well. So really some real concern about the potential for terrorist activity. There always is at these big events. Crowded places are a particular risk. Now, that doesn't mean that anything will happen, but out of an abundance of caution, you've got the French Interior Minister, Gérald Darmanin, saying that security will be enhanced for the game tomorrow night in Paris. You've got his Spanish counterpart saying that the games in Madrid will also see additional security. Now, we've spoken to Scotland Yard about the situation in the UK. Nothing official really coming from them. They will always police these events accordingly. They will have significant numbers of officers that are both visible, but they will have a security infrastructure that's not visible, that is also keeping an eye on individuals who potentially could pose a threat.
A reminder, certainly, that the Islamist terror threat hasn't gone away.
Well, as far as Islamic State is concerned, you'll remember, of course, from about 2014 onwards, they were a very significant threat, carrying out and inspiring lots of attacks, particularly across Europe. We saw these attacks in France and in Belgium, in Germany, here in the UK, multiple attacks that took place, especially in 2017. But then we had that coalition effort to dismantle Islamic State, and that was to an extent successful in certainly degrading Islamic State's capability to launch direct attacks. But what's never gone away as far as Islamic State, IS, however you want to describe them, ISIL, another name they're known as, what's never gone away is their capacity to radicalise others, particularly using the likes of the internet. And that was a big concern for the authorities during lockdown, that many people would be at home, would be on the internet, would be susceptible to the type of propaganda messages coming from the likes of ISIL and other terror groups. And then, of course, add to that the situation that's unfolding in the Middle East at the moment, in Gaza. That is another potential agent for stirring up these extremist groups. So, you know, there is, without a doubt, heightened concern generally across Europe and in the West more broadly. But in addition to that, we've got to mention the fact that here in the UK, the terror threat level was reduced a while back to substantial, and it's never gone back up. It was at severe for quite a number of years during all of these terror attacks in 2017, but it's gone down to substantial. That still means an attack is likely, but not at severe, which means an attack is highly likely. So I think we should take our lead as well from where we are in terms of the national terror threat as to how the authorities here in the UK view these threats coming out from ISIS.